As I retired from Sesame Street about 3 years ago, and one of the things that I have been trying to do is look to these amazing platforms and these colleagues and see how they can think about the opportunities that they may not yet have explored. But I always suggest to them that when I used to play basketball, you can't win games by just playing defense. So risks are important, and children have to be safe. But there are opportunities. So I'm going to read you a quote from Colin Green from New Era of Education. He says, "To present the internet merely as a dangerous place, to put the potential harms at the forefront of learning, would be as inappropriate as it would be ineffective. If we promote to children the dangers and potential risks in isolation from the benefits, they will do one of three things: ignore the message, be fearful and reluctant users of the internet, or actively seek out those risks as an exciting challenge." So as mentioned at the outset, when Sesame Street first began, the television medium was widely criticized. Yet we saw at Sesame the opportunity for education, for joy, for providing a window to the world, especially for those living below the poverty line, and so much more. So my second question to the panelists is, using your imagination, your moral, educational, and creative imaginations, what are your thoughts about the opportunities the online world presents for children? And three parts, what are your organizations doing about it? And what do you or your colleagues need to do more to realize the potential of the internet? This is a big question. We could spend all the time, but give me your first set of answers on this. Cornelius, we'll start with you. No, actually, you have the microphone. We'll start with you, Karen.
Well, I think back to the days when I was growing up, and it was the Encyclopedia Britannica that provided almost all the information that we had access to, and how wonderful the internet is for children to be able to access information from different places for their educational experience, for their connectedness as citizens, and for ways that we might be able to celebrate the good work that's being done. I don't think we do enough of that, particularly. I'd love to see the children that are really holding themselves up as those heroes in their communities. I'd love to see them celebrate it more. It's a simple thing, but I think when we set them up as role models, we will begin to see a shift. So it's for me, I think and for the company, it's that connectiveness as citizens and our global citizenship that the opportunity really lies.
Thank you. Neil, I'm going to go to you next.
Sure. Yeah, I think back to when I was a kid, too, and I'm a father of 3 children, a teenager and 2 younger kids, and when I was a kid, it was real one-size-fits-all. And I think what's amazing about the internet and social media and these incredible platforms we have is that there's just something for everybody. The ability to both express yourself and consume what you want, arts, culture, medium, athletics, academics. And so the opportunity is this enormous world of learning and stimulation and getting what you want that fits your personality and not having to just accept what's being given to you in this linear one-way direction that television was for me as a child. And so I see the opportunity being how to use that responsibly, safely, successfully, and helping parents understand that difference between where they experience media and what their children are experiencing today. And again, trying to close that gap, I think, is the opportunity, because that's good for business. I think that's good for all of our companies to provide more care and the kind of care that families need. And so there's an enormous opportunity both to achieve social impact and help families, but also to achieve business impact too.
Thank you. Jay?
Great. So focusing on opportunities is probably the best part of my job. You know, we're trying to minimize the safety risks, but we also get to see firsthand all of the great things that young people are doing online and really, you know, how they're engaging creatively, how they're becoming active members of society and getting involved in things. As a company, we have a few different approaches that are helping us recognize these opportunities. And part of why we're really excited about working with Nicholas is that we do think there's a need to focus on younger kids. And so last year we launched Messenger Kids. And that's an opportunity for parents to really, guide their younger children into using social media, but it's with a very connected experience between parents and caregivers, grandparents and kids. They're kind of dipping their toes in a much more controlled environment. At the same time, if kids want to sign up for this, parents have to sign a pledge with the children that focuses on things like kindness and respect and having fun online. So we're able to teach some of these same values that we see with the Powers for Good when we're starting off that Messenger Kids experience. We're trying to help kids build empathy through the experience and using that platform. So that's one of the things that's really important to us, to focus on the opportunity, because it lets them be creative and have fun and do things in a safe way as they learn to go online. As kids get older, we also have a great thing called Community Voices, which is one of my favorite things to point people to, because we share stories of teenagers doing amazing things online, whether it's coming to someone's defense and all changing their profile pictures to support someone who was being bullied at their school, to we have a story of a teenager who learned about some special needs kids in her community who always wanted to go to the prom and never got to do that. And so she organized a prom at her high school, like a separate prom, to allow these kids to come in, and she did it all through social media. So those are the stories that I want to elevate and make sure get told. When we're focusing on the risks, we also need to think about these amazing things that young people are doing.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
I would say that the technology itself is the opportunity. So the technology itself is transformational by its very nature. I mean, all of our lives have been transformed by technology, and that's only going to continue going forward. And arming kids with the tools and the resources and the attitudes and the behaviors that they need is what's going to really inflate that opportunity that much more. So I always describe the internet as the landmark invention of our lifetime, but that's not to say that it should continue to be the Wild West, as some might still describe it. We have to bring those social norms to that space, and the kids of today are going to help make that happen. So building on what Jen said about the activities and the interconnections that she has with various youth, we just concluded an 18-month pilot program at Microsoft. We created what we call our Council for Digital Good, and it was a group of 15 teens from 12 US states that we brought together to just talk about life online, what they're doing, who they're meeting, how they're being treated, how they're treating others, and what we could do to work together to improve that. So although we concluded the program back in July, those kids are still very active in their communities and in their schools, bringing these concepts to life. Nicholas was tremendous with them back in 2017. In August, he came out to a summit that we had on campus, and we talked about bullying, we talked about online harassment, and just treating each other with more respect and dignity, which is, again, the undergirding of our campaign for digital civility. And those kinds of programs we need more of to really harness that power that those youth have to really realize amongst all of us what is truly, I believe, the transformational power of technology.
Thank you. Cornelius?
It's great to go last. Let me, start from where you stopped, Jacqueline. The community is now online, right? And children create their communities online. There is a tension in UNICEF. The tension against, should we strengthen protection? Should that be what UNICEF focus on? Protecting children from the predators online? Or should we promote the digital citizenship and children's lives online, right? And how they could become stronger. It's the next generation. Their lives are going to be lived online. I think we've managed, in a way, to have the two moving side by side and a balance. We see two great opportunities as we listen to the voice of those children. One opportunity is their civic engagement and social inclusion. This actually, we believe it's going to contribute to breaking the cycle of poverty. We have seen actually children who are living and working on the street, how they use digital technology. We have seen children in refugee camps, how they use digital technology. We have seen migrant children, how they navigated from Iraq to Europe using digital technology and the communities that were around them, right? And how they were reaching out to each other and supporting each other using social media. So there are opportunities there. Digital technologies also bring, as it has been said, learning and education. We have seen actually how in remote crisis remote regions and humanitarian crises, what digital technology can do for children. By the way, we're working on portable education to make sure that actually children who've had a break in their education can get international certificates, but it has to be done through digital technology. In 2017, as we did the preparation for our report, The States of the World Children, we asked young people how they want to use the internet and what they think the digital world offers to them. And let me quote this. Online, my wheelchair is invisible. It brought equity and equality to this child who had cerebral palsy. With the right support and training, she could participate. She was part of the community. Nobody saw the chair, right? Nobody could question her. And she was a vibrant and active participant. There is another child, okay, Adam, who was in a refugee camp. And he showed his phone. I brought a phone. Now I know how to use the internet to do research, especially in biology, right? So it's possible. And the final thing, actually, we have to listen to these voices of these children online. It's a great opportunity to understand how children are interacting. Previously, I used to work with children living and working on the street, and I love watching child development. It's fascinating, actually, what you can learn of how children live their lives online. And so the word I take away with me is empathy. Can we get children this opportunity to move what we used to teach in schools, in clubs, after school club, to bring it online and to be able to reach millions of children using these kind of programs?
Thank you. I like the room for more that you talked about, Jacqueline. So I'm going to ask in follow-up, what else could your platforms that you're working at or others do to take better advantage of these opportunities? And one of the things that I keep thinking about is that parents who are now newly concerned about their young children being online, there's an opportunity to provide them with information that is not just about their children's behaviors online, but their behaviors offline. So if you have any thoughts about that, I'd like to hear that before I go to the next set of questions. Anyone who wants to answer.
So it's exactly why we developed Be Fearless, Be Kind, for that very reason. The call to action is to stand up, include everyone, and make a difference. It's geared towards children. However, all the materials are really geared towards parents and teachers. And so what we're trying to do is get the message that it is a skill that needs to be developed. I don't think we can say that enough, because oftentimes parents think it's something that you're born with. You either have it or you don't. And we know, in fact, you need to keep working that so it becomes a memory muscle. So it is critically important to us, and what we have invested quite a bit of resources around. We're interested in the inclusivity piece of it, as well as helping children be able to then put it into action. So put that empathy into action and make a difference. Stand up for those that need your help. Get engaged in your community, and recognize that you have the ability to make a difference regardless of what your situation is in life.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
yeah, I could add one point about what we can do in opportunities, and this speaks to what I said in my opening remarks about leveraging our direct relationship with customers. At&t has 5,600 retail stores all throughout the United States, thousands more of authorized retailers. We have tens of thousands of frontline employees, both the friendly people in our stores and the folks who go into people's homes to provide service in person. You can order a phone online and have it delivered to you in person. And so all of those touch points with parents who have children provide opportunity. And so in New York this year, with Nicholas's help and the help of many others, we've launched a pilot where we trained 1,100 of our retail workers in 130 stores across New York, New Jersey, to provide in-person, hands-on support to customers they identify as ones who have children at home using mobile devices and online media. What we're testing for, and I think we've heard a lot about listening to customers and listening to children, is we're listening to our frontline retailers, and we're testing for how we can package that information to provide it at the right moment. How is it welcome into that sales and care moment where someone's coming in for support and to buy? And to understand how we can use that learning and spread it across all these different interactions in people's homes where there may be children right there at the kitchen table who are using a device as we have someone installing DirecTV on their television at home. And so right there is an opportunity to provide some dosage of help. I think with the expertise that we have here in this room and as part of the Power of Zero, we've got the content. I think the question is, what's the package, what's the channel? And our company has made a commitment here in New York to figure that out, and as we're expanding into additional big metro markets this year, we're going to really put this question to the test.
Thank you. I just want to follow up comment, and then I'll turn to my colleagues. When I was at Sesame Workshop for so many years, we learned that there were many opportunities to drip irrigate good content in the pediatrician's office, in laundromats, teaching literacy when children are watching the machine go round and round. You have a chance to actually do some reading. With women who have just given birth, to provide them with information beforehand and afterwards, using their cell phones to provide what drips of technology induced information that they can have. So I think the idea of how do you deliver, what you deliver, where you deliver is going to continue to be important, especially if each of us believes in trying to change the world little by little. We have to do everything we can wherever we can. So any other comments? Yes.
If I may, Louis. So I loved Cornelius's, it's not a campaign, it's a communication initiative. And I would say we don't have a campaign for digital civility. We hopefully have a movement, and we're trying to build a human platform. But one piece of information, one statistic that came out of our most recent research, which we just released on International Safer Internet Day, which was February the 5th, had 2 data points. Now more than ever, teens across the globe are asking and seeking out help from parents and other trusted adults for help with online issues. So it was 42% of those teens, and we surveyed more than 11,000 people across the globe, half of them being teens. So of those who said that they had been exposed to some online risk, 42% of them said that they reached out to a parent, and 28% said that they reached out to some other trusted adult, like a coach or a counselor or a member of the clergy, for help with online issues. So that right there should say to us, now last year it was maybe 10%, maybe 9%. It was very, very low numbers by comparison. Those stats right there should tell us that we have an opportunity. So for parents and for trusted adults, it should be familiarize yourself with what kids are doing online. Be open to those conversations. Be welcoming of those conversations and be willing to give advice. Maybe they've got the technology down and they're super intelligent, but the adults have the wisdom. They can recognize risk and they can impart knowledge about that risk. And then sort of be open to solving the problem together. You know, listen, focus on listening, suspending judgment, and so forth. And for teens, the message is equally clear. Go and seek help from a trusted adult or a parent, because odds are your classmates and your friends are probably doing the same thing.
Any other comments?
And just really quickly to add on to what Cornelius and Jacqueline were saying, I loved Cornelius's examples. Those, again, are positive stories of how teens and others are engaging in these opportunities. And I think part of what's really great here is that we're not just focused on saying to young kids, don't do these things. Instead, we're focused on action words and how to kind of be powerful and engaged citizens at you know, whatever age they are, and the importance of getting parents to have these conversations, getting educators to help empower the kids to be doing these good things online and offline from a really young age is important.
Can I just mention, though it may be boring, but the care workers, the teachers, anybody who's involved in engaging with children, we need to build into the training curriculum or whatever learning platform they have to understand how to engage with children and how to support children, and even using some of these materials. Remember, these are the people who are going to be with these kids for a long time.
Thank you. I want to make one suggestion. One of the things we learned at Sesame Street was when we were working with creative writers who were not educators, we would bring in experts and to talk about a particular topic. So, for example, we talked about sibling rivalry, and we had a psychiatrist come in and provide suggestions for our writers of what to think about. And one of our writers came up to me and wrote this amazing song for Buffy St. Marie, which we then used years later for Baby Bear. And I won't sing it to you, although I could. I'll spare you. Where the language was the language to give to a parent. So when a older sibling sees the young child getting all of the attention, the parent could say, what this wonderful writer wrote, I love him because he's tiny and small. I love you because you're yellow and tall. Tiny and small love, yellow and tall love. People love through all their days, different people in different ways. And providing some of the caregivers and teachers the language, the short language that a parent can use, any parent, even a really well-educated parent, is often at a total loss at a moment of bullying or at a moment. So think about those opportunities and think about how you can deal with it.